So the Banksy job is about a guy called AK-47 who's a real-life art terrorist, a self-proclaimed art terrorist. And he runs an organisation called the Art Qaeda, which is kind of what he describes as an arto-political humorist organisation, whatever that really means. Effectively what it really means is a bunch of guys who take the piss.
Euphoric, like I'm the bestie ever.
My name's Dylan Harvey. I am the co-director, writer, co-writer of The Banksy Job.
My name's Ian Roderick Gray and I'm the co-director of The Banksy Job.
The Banksy Job is a true story about it's an art heist that happened several years ago, whereby our antagonist, a chap called AK-47, the art terrorist, he took it upon himself to acquire one of Banksy's works.
He stole a giant Banksy statue, which was a copy of Rodin's A Thinker with a traffic cone on his head, and he held it to ransom. And this bizarre feud developed between the two of them, which is still going on today. So he is a character built for cinema. He's very, very charismatic, very funny, very obnoxious, but endlessly entertaining. So we're making a film about him and his exploits.
He wasn't necessarily for financial gain, which is what a lot of people who steal Banksys from the street do. It was more of to take the piss and to play games, really. And it was a playful gesture, which wasn't necessarily taken as a playful gesture by the people from whom he took it, and so started a decade-long war of attrition between AK-47 and what we call the Banksy machine.
Banksy Job, it started off over 10 years ago. I bought a print by Banksy. I bought an unsigned print for £75. The signed prints were £150 and the unsigned prints were £75. I bought a £75 one and asked my friend who was his driver if he could get Banksy to sign it.
If I'd have wanted a signed print, I should have fucking bought one and stopped being such a tight-ass northern prick.
So that, right, you know what? I didn't fucking like that. That pissed me off.
One day, a statue appeared in Shaftesbury Avenue, which is about 16 feet tall on a plinth, and it was an exact replica of a statue made by Rodin called The Thinker, which is basically that. That's what it was. One difference was it had a traffic cone on its head.
So I decided to kidnap it.
It was made by Banksy and then tried to hold it to ransom. And this is the tale.
And I said I was willing to give them £2 towards a can of petrol. It has to be unleaded, mind, so they can incinerate the thing.
I am now in possession of you, Banksy!
So he made the statue, left it in Shaftesbury Avenue. It was placed somewhere else before near Battersea as well, and the idea was he was going to randomly just relocate the statue overnight so it would just appear out of nowhere. But of course what happened is 2 days after leaving it in Shaftesbury Avenue, it got nicked by AK-47 in the middle of the day.
Our biggest fear were the police coming and moving the lorry for illegal parking.
Could have been a Shaggy Dog story if it wasn't for one thing. It was this treasure trove he had of the fact that, you know, whether through vanity and narcissism or for wanting to keep a record because whatever reason, he filmed himself doing all of this stuff years ago.
We're on the march with AK's army. We're off to dump a Banksy on the street. And we will shake him up, cause we do not give a fuck. Cause AK is going to give the world a treat.
The great thing about AK, and actually the thing that really hooks both me and Dylan into the story, was the fact that what AK did after he took the statue was went straight to the police station and filed a lost and found report.
He's a big fan of Banksy's. He's a really big fan of Banksy's. He respected him so much.
So by default and by law, after 3 months, Andy became the legal owner of a Banksy piece, which at the time could have fetched up to £1 million.
I think he hoped that Banksy would go, "That's fucking well funny what you did. Oh mate, come on, let's be friends. Let's hang out together and go to the pub and whatever." But you know that wasn't going to happen.
I have no idea if Banksy got it. To be honest, I think he had a big fucking sense of humour, Phil, you know, a long time ago, and not just with me, with a lot of people.
I would never have done that, and that I think shows the brilliance of Andy. And the fact that the guy is super smart on a very different level, so someone who's, you know, educated and gone through the standard way of kind of educating themselves, you know. So it's a great piece of character for me.
And through actually getting Banksy to comment on it. All right, he didn't comment on it in person to Andy, but the fact is he did make public comments about it. And he's never done that since.
So Dill is very much kind of the big picture, overall structure and story and narrative. He's got a real good, and also the guy is just a gifted writer. His mastery of English language is just something to behold. It's beautiful, and he's very, very funny. Probably one of the funniest guys I've ever met. So Dill really injects a lot of that side of it into it. And I come from a more visual background. I started off as a storyboard artist, and I jumped straight into directing. Very much around about 19. I've been doing it for about 11 years now. So the two of us kind of marry somewhere in the middle, and it's a good little partnership really, just because, you know, he does things that I don't do, I do things that he doesn't do, and it just kind of, it's a good even split of workload. So yeah, so that's pretty much how it works, I suppose. But I mean, we both make sure we're happy with everything as we go along. We've got feed ideas, and if we start giggling, then generally it's a good thing, and it means that it's working. So
In many ways, our approaches kind of complemented each other. He's got a wonderful sort of technical eye, and he's got a real sort of feel for the same kind of cinema that I wanted to create. And yeah, we hit it off, and we you know, ultimately we become very good friends as well. So it's a pleasure working with him, and long may the relationship continue.
it's about one man's desire to be accepted into the art community, I'd say. That's what I think it's really about.
That's when I suddenly realised, well, this is it. I found my niche. I've always been a piss taker, and it should be accepted that there's an art in it. And I'm a fine artist at it.